Y'all ready? Everybody ready? I'd like to call this meeting to order, our October the 5th, 2020 meeting. We'd like to welcome everybody for coming out. Everybody please say the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, thank you for joining us, and for the people that have joined us in the back room. To start this meeting off, we just want to give our condolences out to the brothers and sisters in law enforcement in Myrtle Beach and the loss of the officer Jacob Hanker. We just want to share our prayers and our thoughts to that family in Myrtle Beach. So close, we just don't realize all the things that can happen in just a matter of minutes. Definitely changed that family really quick, but we just appreciate everybody thinking about them. And in reference to the closed session, we had nothing that changed plans. We have nothing to report. We'll be moving on. Does any member of the council have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest with anything that regards to the items on the agenda tonight? If so, please state at this time.
No.
No.
Council? No? Okay. All right. Moving on to our amendment and approval of...
Is my mic working? My mic working?
Your button green on top?
You're on, John.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's orange. Can you hear me? You have to press the button to unmute it. I have.
Too long.
You just tap it for mute and unmute.
No, it's not doing it.
It's not doing it.
Let's see, John. Should turn it. No, we see green.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, did you have anything or that?
I'm here.
Just trying to get your mic on.
Yeah.
Okay. The amendment and approval of the draft agenda. One thing that we do have needs to be added to our agenda is the budget ordinance amendment given to us by Ms. Tara, and Lisa, you will put it in there. It's just in regards to our money that we're spending on our fire truck.
Do we need a motion? So moved.
But you also need to delete the action discussion results from closed session.
Need to delete them.
Yeah, because you don't have, number C, you don't have any action or
Oh, okay,
discussion
yeah, we'll
resulting.
delete that. Yeah, as we go.
So we'll just
Yes.
add the budget amendment and delete that.
Add it and drop that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So moved.
Have a second.
Second?
Have any discussion with it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on, we'll be skipping C due to no action. General council discussion. Does anyone have anything?
Sure. First off, I'd like to say thank you to DPW, Fire Department, Police Department, and anybody else from the town that helped clean the causeway last Tuesday. Thank you very much. I've heard lots of compliments from citizens, and a lot of people are happy that it got done, so thank you.
Anything else?
Yep. I'd like to add congratulations to Deputy Chief and Mrs. Childress for the birth of baby Logan. Hope they're all doing well. Is he going to come back to work eventually? Oh, all right. That'll do it. Thank you.
Mr. Phillips or Mr. Corbett?
Nothing for me.
Mr. Borman?
Nope.
Ms. Harris, you have anything?
Nothing.
All right. Moving on, our public comments on agenda items. Will you check in the back and see if you have anybody has anything for this, please? No? All right, we have none. Moving on to our consent agenda. Regards to the Police Department August 2020 report, the Fire Department August 2020 report, Stormwater Department August 2020 report, Public Works Department 2020 report, August, Planning Department, August 2020 report. Building Inspections Department, August 2020 report. Finance Department, August 2020 report. Also, the Master's Service Agreement for Engineering Consultant. August 18th, 2020 second regular meeting minutes. September the 8th, 2020 first regular meeting minutes. And the September 22nd, 2020 second regular meeting minutes. Does anyone have any questions, comments, adds, or subtractions from those minutes or either of these other things?
Nobody else?
I don't.
Go ahead, sir.
Just on stormwater. I guess you can stay down. Okay. The question is, it's in your report. You provide the chart. And if I'm reading that right, there's 16 items in the current plan. There's 16 items in the chart there. And it looks like 3 are complete, 1 is doing engineering, 6 are awarded. Does that mean they're underway?
That means they're awarded, they're not underway yet.
And then 5, no action yet. So the question is, are we on target, on plan?
Yes, sir. We definitely are on schedule.
Okay.
We discovered some, in my report I mentioned briefly, I think, Catchment 5, we did some,
Yeah.
on 27th and 28th Street, we've been doing some work down there in-house, adding some manholes to improve access to the pipes. And last week before, we've been cleaning the pipes in that area in Catchment 5 and observed some pipe conditions that were not satisfactory. So I think we're going to have to pursue that, maybe ahead of the Catchment 7, which is year 2, depending on the overall pricing and condition of that pipe.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I was just looking to clarify what all of those things mean there.
Thank you, Mr. Michon.
Okay.
Anybody else got any questions, comments? Go ahead.
In Public Works, this might also be the Powell bill, Finance Department. In the state, they announced that there's reductions in the Powell bill. Have we gotten the chart that was in the North Carolina League of Municipalities indicated, looks like we're getting $144,000 this year, which is actually more than we had in our budget.
So Powell bill was uncertain when we went into the budget. And so the previous year got 154,000, I believe it was, without having the numbers in front of me. But I didn't put that increase in it. I think I kept it at 144,000 in the budget, and that's basically what we've been awarded. We just got our first payment at the beginning of this month, like a couple days ago, last week, for 72,000.
Okay. So that's pretty much on target.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we pretty much budgeted exactly what we're getting.
Okay.
But we
Thank you.
still have some money. We have 135,000 in our fund balance for Powell bill still. So we wouldn't overspend anyways.
Okay, so we're in good shape to fix our roads.
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Thank you, Terry.
One more.
Go ahead, sir.
The Master Services Agreement. If I recall correctly, this is the same thing we did last year and the year before. Does it do anything other than set the prices for their labor charges for the course of the year?
Yes, that's all it does, set their prices.
That's the main thing it does. And then if we need something,
Right.
do we give them a task and they come back and tell us how much it's going to cost?
Yep, Dustin and John use them primarily.
Okay. No surprises in that contract? Good. All right.
Anyone else?
That's all.
You covered?
Thanks.
Mr. Phillips, you good? Mr. Borman?
I'm good. I'm good.
Commissioner Hurd? Ms. Harris, are you okay, ready to move on? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to our town administrator report. Ms. Lisa Anglin, you have the floor, or the mic.
Thank you. I've just got a few points. Today, we were notified by CAMA that the official public comment period has opened for our modification application. This again is open for near shore placement is what this modification is for. They will accept comments about the project as a whole, but the comments that they're looking for are specific to the near shore placement. It opened today and it will end October the 26th. We did talk to Greg with the Army Corps today, and he was reviewing the public notice. So I'm anticipating that hopefully that will be out by the end of the week, which would be awesome. Beach patrol season is over for weekdays. Deputy Chief Adams will be patrolling the Strand a few times during the day. Weekends will be patrolled by beach patrol staff, two of them. Yeah, 2 beach patrol staff on the weekends, as long as it's nice, weather dependent. ATMC emails today, when I sent out a couple of e-alerts through the website, Atlantic Telephone emails for some reason were rejecting. So if you have an ATM machine email address and you did not receive any emails from me today, look in your junk folders and see if you need to whitelist the info@sunsetbeachnc.gov address. I have over 2,500 subscribers now, so I'm sure that that may have met a threshold with them that anything that's going out to 2,500 people at one time is spam. But if you'll just go into your junk folder and whitelist the info@sunsetbeachnc.gov address, then you'll get the emails. I've reached out to a retired economic developer to ask him to provide you all with some more information about what economic developers do. And he has, in our conversations back and forth, he indicated that he may be interested in part-time. So that's something for y'all to consider as you're looking into that possible position and what you would want that person to do. So I'll have that information coming for you. And that's all I got, unless you have any questions.
Anybody got any questions for Ms. England?
No.
Ms. Harris, do you have anything?
No.
Nobody?
I do.
Go ahead.
The applications for the town administrator position, have we reached that threshold of 10 yet?
We have. I have 14 that are complete resumes ready for you all to review. I just need to make the copies of your score sheets, and I'll be ready for you to start coming in and reviewing.
Is that likely to happen this week? That we could come in?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to be gone next week. among
Okay,
other things.
just maybe not tomorrow.
That's fine. And how is our recruiting going? We've got a number of positions advertising for.
We are receiving resumes and applications for all of the openings that we have right now, which is stormwater, public works, planning director,
Finance?
building inspection, finance, and the town administrator.
Okay.
So yeah, we're getting applications for all of them.
Is police and fire fully manned? 100%. All right, good.
They're both 100%, but they're still looking for part-timers, right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. If anyone has anything else, if not, we'll move on. Moving on to old business. First is up is our recycling 2021 update. Ms. Tara Drop, you have the floor.
So for recycling, you have the numbers in front of you, but I have updated numbers because it's been about a week. So for the island, we have a total right now of 387 customers. There's 40 new signups, 10 cancellations, and 66 residents that have not sent in their payment. On the mainland, we have 479 total customers. We have 22 new, 17 cancellations, and 91 that have not paid. I'm asking that we extend it another 2 weeks, and to ask the public that if you want recycling, please send in your payment within the next 2 weeks. You can pay online and email your application to us. We do need payment and application. I'm just asking that we extend it 2 weeks, because if I send in the final list for non-payments, Green for Life will go around and pick up all of these 157 carts from the people that have not paid. And then if they want recycling again, they'll have to pay for the full year plus $25, because we're going to get charged $25 for anything that needs to be brought back out to an address that already had recycling. So that's just kind of where we stand with that. Those are our numbers.
And with that 2 week period, Lisa will be posting it up where people that are not listening will be able to see it on our website, correct?
Yeah.
As a little extra notation, just to get this in the next 2 weeks.
And every day I'm getting a couple more. So people are still sending them in right now. And I'm not charging late fees or anything like that. The only way that it'll get charged something is if in 2 weeks from today, on that Wednesday after that, I'll send a final, or the Tuesday after that, I guess it'd be, a final list. And then they go around and pick up all these carts.
Can we put that announcement back out in your 2,500 now email list? What's that, up from 900 about a year ago? That's good, that's good.
I think Jan wanted to say something.
I think she just called. Ms. Harris, did you have anything to add?
No, I lost
Just
coughing. I'm
coughing. Okay.
sorry.
No problem, thank you. Anybody got anything else, any questions for Ms. Tara?
Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, moving on. Ms. Tara, you just stay right there,
Yeah.
because you got a lot of things here. This is the capital budget requests for the 2021 year. Go ahead.
Yes. So this one's a little bit more involved. We're now able to see what our impact specifically has been from COVID. Back in March, when all of this started, we kind of put the brakes on all of the spending for the town. We also put the brakes on our budget for this year and basically cut out all capital. The numbers coming in now look as though, because I'm pretty much done with the audit. I got the final draft today. I've been reviewing it. This will be my third review of the audit. It looks like we are going to add to our fund balance approximately $700,000. That is, there's two reasons for that. One of the reasons, as you can see on this sheet, we came way under in our expenditures because we put the brakes on spending, because the state, the league, all of these classes and conferences I went to said, you know, slow down your spending because our revenues are going to drop by 20% almost immediately. Well, for Sunset Beach, that didn't happen. I think part of that is because we don't have a enterprise fund for water and sewer. That was a lot of the problem for some of these towns, because one of the executive orders was you couldn't shut off water and sewer for non-payment. So if people couldn't pay, they weren't paying, and their water and sewer wasn't getting shut off, so there was still that expense. And I think that their general funds were kind of helping the enterprise funds. So there's other reasons though. One of those is that we're always very conservative on our revenues. And if you look at the ad valorem, it came in at 100,000 over what we budgeted, but we budgeted at 96%, and we're almost always at 99%. Another one was the sales and use tax. Now, we always budget that conservatively because you never know what's going to happen with sales and use. And with this one, we really thought that this was going to come in under budget from what all of the projections were from the state, but we actually came in over our budget. And then the ABC audit for this year came in with an adjustment that we got more than they had like allocated throughout the year. So there was a large chunk that came in for June 30th. And then our building and inspections department, from our original budget, they came in almost $200,000 higher than what we budgeted. There was a lot of like buildings and all kinds of like developments that caused a huge surge in revenue for them. And then our miscellaneous revenues or disaster recovery was Hurricane Florence. So we got the final 2 payments from Hurricane Florence that came in during that fiscal year, which was $186,000. So if you add up all of those additional revenues that came in, it's $652,000 right there. And then we sold the fire truck, and there was additional buildings and things like that that came in for fire fees, but we created an assigned fund balance for that. So their fund balance is separate from our general fund balance at this point. So overall, it's around $700,000 that we added to our fund balance. But like I said, it's very clear that we fared very well for COVID, not expecting to. And so our revenues came in where we expected them to, with additional revenues that we didn't expect. And then our expenditures were way under what we had budgeted. Does anybody have questions on the spreadsheet I did?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
The inspection department fees, that goes into the general fund? I thought that had to be kept separate.
Is it kept separate?
Yeah.
No, because I mean, usually the expenditures for that are higher. This was an exceptional year.
Yeah.
So it stays part of the general fund. The building inspection fees specifically have to be spent in the inspections department, but it basically equals out and it's reported on the budget.
Okay.
I mean, the audit.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions with the spreadsheet?
Yes.
Ms. Harris, do you have anything?
No.
Mr. Nurse?
I just want to say thank you. It's an excellent report.
Thank you.
Mr. Phillips, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Borman, you?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Corbett?
I think I'm good, just.
So what
So-
that will look like is our fund balance at June 30th is sitting at 94% approximately. These numbers that I'm giving you are not hard numbers because, and they're not matching what's on the spreadsheet because there's other factors that come into this. There's state stabilization things that have to be allocated outside and taken out of our fund balance, specifically assigned for things that are in the audit that aren't black and white on here as far as like revenues versus expenditures. But this is just the basic. So that brings me into the capital side of it. If there's no other questions on where we stand, I put in a summary of everything that we took out of the budget in the report. And there was some prioritization for departments that I had asked for. But that was basically just police and fire because the streets and stormwater, there was just one mini excavator that they were splitting between the two. That was their capital. And then they asked for 1.5 positions between the two. And then do you want the prioritization? Like, how do you want to move forward with this? Or do you want?
I think that we should go forward first with the police and fire because that concerns public safety, which to me is the most important thing. I think we need to look into establishing some capital improvement funds. So we don't get hit with these big bills down the road all at one time. And you see how everything comes out. I think it might be a good idea to add some money to the stormwater budget. They're always finding more things that John mentioned.
I think those kind of come up on an as-needed basis for the stormwater, correct? No.
And I think that Mr. Corbett, Councilman Corbett mentioned earlier that there was,
Might need to get to the mic, so.
Awesome.
there were a number of projects on my list here that have been awarded, and I would anticipate those being done within the next 6 weeks. So as we discover new things, I think maybe by the end of the year, we could come back to council and have a better feel for where we are from a budget standpoint, and have identified additional projects that we would have had time to engineer and put together a project scope for bidding. And at that point in time, I think it'd be we very well might need some additional funding if we wanted to continue with the plan.
That's all I had.
I kind of need a clarification on where we are. The 700,000, in very simple terms, is essentially money from the last year budget that we put a spending freeze on because we thought the bottom was going to drop out of our funding. And as the year ended up, we have 700,000 from last year's funds. So one of my questions would be, what did we not fund in last year's budget that we had programmed to fund, that we pulled off?
Basically, we put a freeze on everything. There wasn't any capital that wasn't purchased, I don't think. I can't speak for every department. But I know that there was some catch up with even just maintenance stuff that has been done now, started sort of in June, I think, and then is carrying over now. I don't know what the effect of that will be. At this point, I don't think it'll be a huge amount. The biggest part of that wasn't as much the expenditures as it was the unexpected revenues. Hurricane Florence was almost 200,000. Like the building inspections was almost 200,000. The property tax, because we budgeted it so conservatively, it came in good. Sales and use. I mean, even accommodations tax came in $15,000 higher than what we expected it to, and we added $46,000 to the transfer. So those unexpected revenues were a big chunk of that. I can't speak for every department. I'm not sure what departments need to play catch, because that's kind of what you're asking, right? Is what they need to.
Well, part of it is the idea that we either put it into a capital investment fund, improvement fund.
Well, right now it's part of our fund balance. So our fund balance now is at $6.5 million as of June 30th, which is 94% of our budget. I know here the fund balance has stayed between 75 and 100.
Yeah.
Basically, we got down like a little bit close
We were below
to
that
that.
at the end of
Yeah.
the
And so now we've built it back up to what it was. And so it's just my fear with not moving forward with any of the capital is that the next budget, you're going to have this huge, requests for capital. So that's why I was letting you know now that we did add this much to the fund balance so we can slowly get back on track with what we were trying to do in this last budget, because this is just what we took out for this budget. And it looks like we're not having such an impact on COVID. So we're basically starting the budget process over.
Okay, but what I'm saying is when we start this budget process, we can already take that 700,000. It's essentially refunding our general fund back up to the 94% level, and then start new with the budget that we were talking about for FY 2021, where we had anticipated revenues that would be coming in, and then monies that we were going to spend. And at that point in time, we decided not to spend anything on capital improvements. So did you also re-look at what our expected revenues will be for this year versus what we had in the beginning of the year?
They're not, I mean, we still do it conservatively. I bumped up to get this budget to be equal. We bumped up the property tax to 98%. So I already increased that part of it. We're still in COVID. So I don't really suggest at this point bumping up revenues because there's still that potential of things closing down. I don't really want to adjust where our revenues are at this point. We're still conservative with our revenues at this point for the new budget.
Okay, let me hit
So
you
that's
with-
what you're asking, right? Is
I'm
if,
sorry, let me get you with another one then. We've got total budget request of 926,000 in this
Right.
spreadsheet. Okay. In our budgeting for this year, FY 2021, how much money do we have to spend without going back into our general fund? Or is anything we use for this $928,000, does it all come out of the general fund?
right,
Okay.
at this point. Because it's so early in the year. I mean, there's a possibility that our revenues will come in higher, but I don't feel comfortable saying that that's definitely going to happen at this point. Our budget was going to be basically an operating budget already. There's a little bit of room, maybe.
Okay, so that's bringing me kind of to a point that comes in with prioritization of this, people, equipment, and other big equipment and smaller equipment. And then, as our finance director, how much money do we have to spend to play with on here? And the answer is not the council can spend all you want to spend.
Right. Well, I mean, you want to keep the fund balance at a level above 75% typically for a beach town. I know that that's basic across the board, and I know that the history here has been around 100%. But 75% is a really good fund balance. So you can dip into the fund balance for capital expenditures. You cannot, or I don't suggest doing it for operating expenses.
And that's personnel?
Huh?
Personnel, where's personnel come in?
Anything that's going to be ongoing. So yeah, personnel or like a contract that you're signing in for multiple years, like, you know, something like that.
And so how much out of that $700,000 takes us down to the 75% mark?
We were at 75%. So it's around the 700,000.
So you're saying
you could do
we
that.
have enough money
I don't
that
suggest using
we
all
could
of
spend
it.
all 700,000 on capital improvements
You'd still be in an okay
and be
position.
back where we were in a good position before. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's kind of all I wanted to know.
Okay.
Have you reached out to the department heads to get their priorities?
Yeah, so
all
I
this-
have a couple. Well, like I said, really, inspections, planning, finance, didn't have any capital. So the streets had the mini excavator, and they were gonna split that with stormwater. That was their one capital. And then, administration was the website, which is basically more public buildings, like across the board than it is just administration. And then police and fire, when I had reached out to them, their educational incentive, and then the interview room camera upgrade, and then the portable radio replacement was the top three priorities.
I remember that being a big one there for the radios because of the way things were. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that the same thing with the fire department? Because that's one of your priorities because that stuff's fixing to change over, so we need to get everything done.
Yeah, the fire department was a staff vehicle, radios, the EOC upgrades, but that's actually over on public buildings. And then training room chairs. The one thing that I do want to mention too is that accommodations tax. I didn't have that on here, but there was 2 requests for accommodation tax. One was the dump trailer. That was $7,500. And then the beach patrol had a jet ski in there for $15,000. They're not on my sheet because they're an accommodation tax, and I was so focused on general fund. But those would come out of this year's accommodation tax. They wouldn't. There's not a fund balance for that.
Tara? Go ahead, Charlie.
Talking about the police department, weren't we trying to hire 2 more officers?
So that, yeah, I was just talking about the capital. So the police department had 2 positions and then a promotion. And then the streets department and stormwater each had 1.5 positions. I want to say that that was it. Oh, and then there was the talk of an economic developer.
Yeah. I think there's a total of 6 positions
Yeah, so
somewhere.
it's, the 3 comes between streets and stormwater, and then 1 is the economic development, and then 2 for the police department, that's 6. And you would have to talk to each of the departments about justification for the positions or the specific equipment, because, you know, I don't really know the needs of the departments as far as prioritizing. I just asked for there, but that's why. So if you have like specific questions for that
Well,
we can have
one
them
specific question, broad for across the board, is what is the impact of increasing our staffing by 6 people? I mean, there's
Just
a dollar and a
salary?
cent, there's a dollars and cents, but it's also, you know, they each have a salary, then they have the benefits
Taxes,
and whatever
yeah.
taxes are,
vehicles.
as well as training, and they have vehicles to go with them on some cases. So,
Right.
and these become a steady, constant overhead, operating costs
Right.
that we have
Yep.
for the future.
Tara?
I'm just making sure I'm thinking clearly on that stuff.
No, you should.
Yeah.
So do we have any planning for the property next door and the other property next to the firehouse too?
So
So are we reserving any money towards those projects?
So the property next door, we had finishing the adjacent lot to Town Hall. That's under the public buildings part of it. We had said that it would be about $60,000. I'm not sure if that's still about what we were thinking, but that's just one of the things that was in there. The other land, we didn't even know
new.
about.
Right, it's something new, yeah.
So
The property tax, so is that something that we expect to continue and should actually increase, right, with all
the property tax,
yes.
it will come in higher than what we budgeted, because I budgeted it at 98%. And typically we get 99%. And then if there's anything like new development, that will also increase it.
Well, we know that there are new developments.
Yeah, I just don't know what that effect is.
Yeah.
That's basically, I don't do that side of it.
We've had 40 or 50 houses roughly under construction for well over a year or so. So do you have an estimate of how many new houses we would have by the end of the year? Or how many new houses are going to roll over that we will be getting taxes from?
By the end of this year, it's kind of hard to say right now, but I'm thinking we'll probably do at least 25, 50 more, is my guess. Well, let me back up, it's October. Probably more realistically, probably from what we did in 10 last month. I'm gonna say probably, might as well say 20. You know, give or take. 20 new houses.
COs
year?
or,
20 new houses between now and December.
To be
Next 3
completed.
months.
So how many for the year? Oh, I guess we're going back to July, so.
Well, actually, it's a good question because it gives us an estimate. We're going through how many new houses do we anticipate came online in the year 2020?
2020. It's hard for me to answer that. I mean, and get you close.
Well, the ones over here, that's going to be commercial too, right?
Yes, I mean
So
that's,
they'll be taxed commercial, and so that will also add to us if they're complete by December. Are they?
yeah, they'll be complete next month. And that's October. Yeah.
So that, I mean, that should
Artesia?
It's 82.
January 1.
82 units, I think is yeah,
Yeah.
or 74, either 82. it's kind of hard for me to give you a number. I mean, as far as a running tally, I've just got exactly what we've got with the new corrected one, because I think you had pointed out that we were, had a little clerical error there on tallying them up. But, probably 150. Yeah, let me.
Why don't you let Kerry get you the numbers and bring those
At the
back?
next meeting
Because
on
then he could
Thursday.
bring you values of those structures as well.
That would work at the third Tuesday meeting.
Part of what I'm aiming at is, this is the first part of a development surge in this area where we have services. We just have the new change that's taking place in Riptide, which would likely over the next 5 years produce a lot of houses and things like that. So if we're thinking about services like fire department services or police department services and other things where we do need personnel, part of it is looking at what our predictable income would be moving up to, and in terms of what we would be able to afford to kind of pay for and accommodate those services. And with that, even, sort of if you go back to 2019 also, to give us an idea, that sort of gives us a picture of where we have grown since we've started really adding too many positions in the fire and the police department. Now, fire, we get through the fire fees, and we, as areas grow up, we get more fire fees, and that can pay for the services and the things that we need.
Right.
But we fund all the police department and all the services, the personnel in the vehicle to provide the services out to the community. And so...
And you remember that only 2 of these developments that are coming in are actually inside town limits.
Yeah.
So the fire department is going to be what's impacted the most with the other developments that are going on outside of town limits.
Yeah, but even part of that, we pay for the police department, and even though those developments are outside of the town and that the county sheriff's office is responsible for them, in many cases, we will be actively engaged in providing services or support to them.
Right. And the police chief can probably give you numbers on mutual aiding for the sheriff's department.
What I'm looking for is a basis as future growth to address the personnel needs and the equipment needs that would go with those things. And
Y'all
with
understand that?
Part of the delta would be what's happened in the last year or so that we haven't done anything to take into calculation our manpower and our services in that.
Okay, we can gather all that information and provide it for you for the next meeting.
Tara?
Yes.
The tax rate for commercial properties is more, less?
They're it's
residential?
just valued higher. It's the same tax rate. The property tax is the same rate.
Right, the rate, but...
It's just however it's, the value of the property is
assessments
different.
They're assessed differently?
Right. Yeah, that would be on the county level of how their value is assessed.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Anything?
Well, my question is what is the process you see for us to start making decisions? When and how? Do we throw a couple things out right now? I think the Emergency Operations Center and the radios are 2 critical things that
Yeah, if you
we
see
need before the
if
next
there's, I mean, we have the priorities from the departments. If you have any questions that you want to ask the departments specifically, because it's almost impossible for me to prioritize anything just because I'm not in those departments. But we can make decisions tonight on very specific things if you want to, and then put this on the disposition of directives moving forward. We don't have to decide on everything tonight, but if there are we have a few priorities that have been identified, and we can, make a decision on those because, the priorities that we have, they're not ongoing operating costs. They're more of the capital side of it.
From my perspective, I think we should
just to get the ball rolling on that, just start off with the radios for the police and fire and approve those immediately. I don't want those people out there without being able to communicate.
I
I don't have my pen.
I agree with that, and I think maybe we ought to keep these items on the disposition of directives, and as we get reports back from the different departments, then we'll be able to go ahead and act on it.
Well,
We should be able to have all that information to you, either the next meeting or the second one in November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but there are a couple other things. The interview room camera,
I was gonna say, that's a very small amount.
it's
That's,
a small amount, and it's potentially a big impact, you know. I think the emergency operating center capability, you know, the last storm, I think we could have used a centrally located emergency operations center functioning.
yeah,
and-
we
and
have that
pulling
estimated
things
at
together.
10,000.
Yeah. I would recommend that.
I think those are both reasonable as well.
What about in the administration department, the website? That, to me, I think that would be something that's important, because we have so many people that's how they learn everything here. So what is the upgrading to that? What is the basis of that?
You can look into that, but with the load I'm carrying right now, I'm not going to be able to update that website more than to the next level. So that wouldn't be a priority right this
okay.
minute.
What does the fire department need right away? What's a priority for you?
That's what you had sent me.
Yeah, the items that are on the document that Tara put in there, the radios is probably number one. As far as the fire department, a staff vehicle and the radios, those are the two biggest priorities. And then for the accommodation side of things, the jet ski our current jet ski is 3 years old. It's in the shop right now getting a bunch of work done because it's out of service. Basically, it's getting worn out. So the goal was to try to get 3 years out of it. So that's a priority from the beach patrol and rescue standpoint. And then as Mr. Corbett mentioned, the EOC upgrade with the smart board and some of that
I'm
technology.
sorry, I'm not hearing you.
As Mr. Corbett mentioned, the EOC upgrade with some of the smart board technology and that sort of thing will help us out too. So kind of everything else, capital-wise, we can do without, but radios, staff vehicle, jet ski, and EOC, I guess that's kind of my prioritized.
That's $100,000 basically off what they got there.
Where's the jet
My-
ski on this? I don't see
It's
a
not.
jet ski here.
It's not, that was in the accommodations line item.
Okay.
My thoughts that we could wait a couple months on the jet ski to see how things pan out, because we just finished in the season, we're not gonna use it until the spring.
Well, the
Or
problem-
what's the lead time on an order?
Knock on wood, though. 'Cause there's a lot of people on the water still. Right now, one of our biggest challenges is getting staff vehicles and a jet ski. There's none on the lot, and we got to order them all. So the state,
Accommodations tax came in 40,000 over last year in the month of July. That jet ski's about 20.
I had Deputy Chief Adams look into both the staff vehicle and the jet ski, just seeing if we can get them, how soon, and there's none on the lots, and we'd have to order them. So that's kind of our challenge of if we wait longer, how long it gets delayed, and that a big part of that, getting supplies, equipment, that COVID has affected that with everything.
Yeah.
So,
The one thing on the jet ski is that's covered by the accommodation tax, which it fits right in, something that should be done. So,
Yeah, and part of the capital apparatus replacement plan schedule that I presented earlier in the budget cycle too, that included the jet ski. Right now, the John Deere Gators that we have for beach patrol, I think we're gonna get 3 years out of them. So if we get 2 of those 1 year, 2 the next year, a jet ski every third to keep it on that cycle, it seems to be a pretty feasible plan at this point, and mechanically things are working out well that way. So it's
I'm
kind of-
comfortable with the jet ski. Go ahead, say yes to the jet ski.
Agree.
Yeah, I'm surprised you can't get an end-of-season deal there or something. You say they're all out of stock?
Yeah, the Deputy Chief Adams has looked into several dealerships close by, and there's none on the lots.
Wow.
There's no boats, there's no trucks.
Yeah, it's-
You're not pulling anything.
There's no refrigerators.
So, if you all approve it, I'm gonna have to get him to work on figuring out how we even order
Where to
one
get it, yeah.
and get one coming.
That could definitely be something he could go ahead and look into.
Yeah.
Well,
May-
yeah.
Maybe he could look into how to get one, and then we'll be prepared.
Well, why don't we just say we approve it, and then
Okay.
staff goes figure out how to do it and execute.
I
I'm
will
good
have
with
to come
that.
back with a budget amendment.
Yeah.
So they can start, like, start the processes,
Yeah.
but no money will be spent until I come back to you with an
Yeah.
amendment.
Basically just giving him to go ahead and start looking and seeing what he can find.
And so, do we all agree on the EOC?
Yes,
Going ahead with that?
Yes,
And we all agree on the police and the fire radios?
yes,
yes,
Yes.
And the interview room camera?
yes.
yes.
Okay.
So I just want to clarify, the radios for the fire department and the police department?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Should we consider the dump trailer, since that comes out of the accommodations tax as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
accommodation tax is up $40,000
Yeah.
this July from last July, and that was 200, we're at 200,000 just for July.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
I have
Trying
one
to get the
question
easy
for
ones out
Lisa.
of here.
We're saying yes to this. Do we need a motion to do this, or do we need,
well, I'm gonna come back with a budget amendment.
Okay.
That'll be you saying, do this. This is just that, like, everybody being a direction that they can go and get exact prices and,
Guidance to get prices.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not actually motioning.
We're not
didn't
signing
say
I'd
into
like to
it
see it
yet.
all in writing.
You didn't spend anything yet.
So what is the looking at the mini excavator? We can get half of it for Justin. I'm comfortable with that. I'm not sure about half of it. I mean, how time sensitive and where does that go on the priority list?
Well, right
Because we
now-
think stormwater is a
Priority.
Oh,
big
definitely.
priority, so.
And right now, we're in stormwater, as you know, you approved, we're well-staffed. There's 3 of us now, wintertime. And, you know, as I fade away and somebody else takes my place, obviously it could be 2 during the peak season and hopefully back to 3 in the off-season. I've talked to Dustin at length about this. But the mini excavator would allow a crew of 3 to do a lot of drainage work that is needed back in this area, and everywhere, really, in town. It's just a really versatile piece of equipment that you can clean out ditches with and do a lot of different kind of work that you can't do with a backhoe. So personnel-wise, we're okay. But the mini excavator would be a really big asset for the town and both departments.
So John,
Yes, sir.
so that's work that we can't do now because we don't have that equipment?
We can, but we have to rent the equipment.
So, okay, so,
We don't have the equipment to do that kind of work. You can't really, in a good way, clean out ditches and things like that with a backhoe. It's too big. You only get 90 degrees, and every time
Got it.
clean something out, you have to move it.
Right.
Versus a mini excavator that can roll with it and you have a clean out bucket, and it's a much, much better piece of equipment.
So we've been renting equipment for that purpose now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'd say go with it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So the jet skis and the accommodation, but the rest of that right there is just a little over $100,000.
Yeah.
Basically is what we're looking at.
Yeah,
42,
but-
30, 18, 5, and 10.
Yeah, but they come out of different pockets. The dump trailer and the jet ski is the accommodation tax.
Accommodation
The
tax,
others
yes.
come out of the general fund.
What did you all decide about the fire department vehicle?
Is that, who,
Fire department.
right, who did we just order, do a budget amendment for 2 vehicles?
Stormwater and Public Works.
Okay. They've been limping through all summer sharing the truck, is that correct?
Yeah, so there's a couple different variables with what we've done. We've borrowed, some of the stuff on the beach, we've borrowed vehicles from Dustin on occasion to have crews go out there at night. Deputy Chief Adams is currently driving a pickup truck. Deputy Chief Childers is driving a pickup. I'm driving a Tahoe that's, I think, the oldest in the fleet, and we have one other pickup truck that's at Station 1. So originally, our hope was to get another one or another staff vehicle and give that to Deputy Chief Adams. Some of the research he's done, there's nothing really on the lots again. So we're looking at potentially having to order something, or he started looking at Tahoes to replace the Tahoe that I'm driving, which he may or may not be able to find one on a lot. So whether it's a pickup truck for him, a Tahoe for me, but down the line in the next year, there'll be another staff vehicle that we try to replace just from wear and tear as well. At some point down the line, and I don't know when, I'd like to have a pickup truck at Station 2 just for some utility work, but that's down the line and not even in the conversation. So really, we're getting close to the point of needing to replace something because it's going to be going out of service. And it's tough to get vehicles.
For purposes of this budget amendment that Tara is putting together, pickup truck or Tahoe?
Joseph and Richard told me Tahoe the other day, but it's also, I'm gonna put it back on them to see what they can find. Both would be valuable. I think they'd both like to replace the Tahoe because it's the oldest in the fleet and probably least reliable, and we may get into mechanical issues. But me being the fire chief too, I wanted to put Joseph in a nicer, newer truck on the beach too. So I'll let them argue it out and see what they can find if you approve the money for.
You'll let Tara know?
Yeah.
Does the vehicle come out of the fire fees, or it comes out of the general fund?
It'll come out of fire fees.
It comes out of the fire fees.
That being said, I think we should go for that one as well.
Yep.
That sold me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have an assigned fund balance.
Yes.
So it'll come out of their assigned fund balance.
yeah.
This was one,
It's not gonna come out of the general fund. It's not even part of that 700,000.
Yeah.
it was, all these projects really were things that we had in the budget, kind of planning on it based off the fire fees and the capital apparatus and equipment plans that we have, kind of working documents.
Well, I want to say this. For 20 years of coming to council meetings, vehicles get replaced when they're not safe to drive anymore. We need to do a little bit better than that. And that's where this capital funding comes in.
Yep.
I have a question for Chief Clammer. Besides the radios, do you have any other priorities?
Well, and the camera too.
Well, the camera.
I was conservative when I sent that my top 3 list to Tara, and I actually put educational incentive at number 1, even over the radios. And the reason I did that was there's a lot that's going on throughout the nation that's affecting law enforcement. I'm concerned about retention. I know there's some towns around us that have recently done pay studies, and it's really going to hurt me as far as trying to keep who I have and attract new people. But that being said, I've got a vehicle that remains here for our part-time folks to drive that I wanted to replace in 2019. And you talked about waiting until vehicles are unsafe to drive. I'm surprised that that car can make it to Bolivia to take a prisoner to the jail. I would not feel safe taking it much further than that. So that's a priority. And if it doesn't, as someone alluded to, if you know, we have a capital replacement plan for those vehicles, but I don't want to come here in the next budget process and ask for a half a dozen vehicles.
You had a plan worked out.
We do.
Didn't you?
We do. Yes, sir. Because we bought, when we started the take-home program, I believe we bought 6 at that time, and I don't want to wait until we need 6 more and then come back and say, hey, this is where we're at. So replacing that vehicle back there that'd be something I'd really like to do. But like I said, I was conservative when I sent my top 3 requests.
Well, your presentation back in the spring about the need for educational incentives built a good case for developing our staff, keeping them, and encouraging them. So I like that part. At this point, I would think we consider the replacement vehicles and kind of look at the personnel replacements across the board at a later meeting.
Sure.
And think those things through because of the longer term implications that go through that. It's sort of my 2 cents there.
I think to move forward with the 2 replacement vehicles is a prudent thing to do at this point, and then reconsider the others as we progress. So I'm in agreement.
In the education?
The education as well.
I agree.
You're talking about the 2 replacement that was in my budget?
Yes.
Because one of those is just on that capital plan. And while I don't want to turn it down, but at the same time, it's not in dire need of replacement right now. It's on the capital plan. So it's due, but it's an unmarked vehicle. It doesn't get the use that the marked vehicles do.
The one you want replaced is
The one I want to replace is a marked vehicle.
Priority for you right now is the one vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
So I think that's what we should do then.
Say that again, I couldn't hear you.
So I think that's what we should do then. If
Yeah.
the-
Just
if
replace one
is-
vehicle, not
I
2.
feel right now that would be appropriate, and then when we discuss in the next meeting personnel, because with me, personnel comes vehicles, so I feel that 1 right now would be sufficient.
Okay. What about the Lexipol?
That I was probably going to push back until a next budget year.
Okay. I have one item that's not on here.
Go ahead.
We had a holiday bonus of $500 per employee in the spring budget that we knocked out pretty quickly. My sense is back then, my sense was it was a good idea. But now, following COVID-19 and all the things that have been ongoing, the performance during Hurricane Isaias, and the challenges that we're still facing, I'm very comfortable, and I'd like to recommend that we put the $500 bonus per employee, and with what would be effective employed as of 1st of January last year or 1st of July?
Last year, you did all full-time employees, regardless of when they were hired.
Regardless of that, and I think do the same thing. So that's a proposal I'd like to put on the table.
I agree with that.
What is the impact of that?
So I actually, there was one other component to this year's budget that we had looked into, and that was the merit that we had done per department, what we had budgeted versus what we actually used from that. And the difference between what we budgeted and what we actually used was $22,500. So that actually almost covers the entire budget, or the entire bonus, because it's around $26,000.
So what did we, sort of changing just a bit, what did we budget for merit and what did we actually pay?
So we budgeted $81,489 for merit.
Yeah.
But because it's based on performance, we actually only used $58,895. So the exact difference is $22,594.
Well, that makes that easy
And
to me.
the holiday bonus would be
It's
about 26?
about 26,000. That's with the FICA and, you know, like the taxes, because we still have to pay taxes on it.
So I would like to make a motion that we approve that bonus, and we approve that now. So it can go ahead and get planned in.
A second,
Do I have a
huh?
second? Do I have any discussion?
I'd just like to say something.
Go ahead,
before we
John.
In general, I'm opposed to just an annualized bonus. I think merit bonuses are a much better way to go. However, considering everything everybody's been through this year, the work that our staff has done, I had similar thoughts to John about this, that we needed to go ahead and put this back in place to thank everybody for their hard work and effort, especially considering some of the retention issues and things like that are going on, and people just haven't worked hard to continue to make things go smooth. So I'll support this completely.
I'm okay with it.
Anybody else?
Yep.
I'll call for a
Jan?
vote.
Dan?
Jan, you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Jan vote? I couldn't hear.
I'd like to make note that I did not vote.
Okay. Ms. Harris did not vote.
Does that automatically count as an aye?
Yes.
That is.
So it's 5-0.
Tara?
Yes?
So with everything that we just talked about here,
Anything that I'm sorry.
How much did we
so with
spend?
everything that we talked about here, from the fund balance standpoint, where does that bring us if we're at 90+% now and we want to maintain 75?
Yeah, so if we had spent the entire 700,000, we would be around 75%.
So
So we're going to be above the 75% still. I don't have the exact number because I need a calculator, but because it's like calculated off of what that end of year the budget was, and then what the budget is this year goes into account, and then whatever that changes will change the percentage and the fund. So
where have we been historically? I mean, if we're tracking the way that we've been for a number of years.
So when the first year, I mean, I've only been here for 2 years, but the first year I was here, we were at 100,000. And then last year, because the budget was higher, it wasn't that our fund balance decreased, but the budget was higher. So that plays a factor into it. So that brought us to 75%. If I look throughout the history, it stays between 75 and 100. And that's, I mean, historically, and that's the best place to be. When you're a beach town, what that fund balance means is if you're at 75% fund balance, you can maintain your operating costs for 3/4 of a year without any revenues coming in. If
Gotcha.
everybody's house is completely destroyed, you're going to make it through the 75% of that next year.
Right, okay. Thank you.
That's kind of how the LGC looks at it, is how long are you going to last if everything crashes on us?
Right.
So at our next meeting or at some time in the future, you're going to come back with us and tell us how much money we just agreed to spend?
Yeah, so.
And summarize everything
I'll come
that
back
we
with,
agreed?
I'll come back with a budget amendment of everything. So I just want to make sure that I have everything. So we did the radios for the fire department, the police department,
Yes,
the interview camera, the
Yes.
mini excavator, and the bonus out of general fund.
well, we did
And
the
then
EOC.
the EOC
Police
upgrade.
vehicle? What about the police vehicle? Is that,
Police
is
vehicle?
that general fund?
I didn't come back up here
The
since I did that.
education, wasn't that a general fund?
I didn't hear what the other police department was. So it was one new
Police department
vehicle
was One
vehicle.
vehicle.
And education incentive.
Education was the
and then the
$10,000.
incentive.
And the EOC upgrade.
Yeah. And
Okay.
the fire radios, did you get the fire too? Police
So
and
the fire is not going to come out
So
of
it
that
comes out of it?
700,000 at
Okay,
all.
okay.
So I have their radios and
It goes in
then,
with their vehicle.
what did you decide on the vehicle for the fire department?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And then, so the EOC center.
Does the EOC center come out of the fire, or?
I'm not sure. We're going to have to look into that. I mean, it's at the fire department,
Right,
but I'm not really sure what would pay for that.
okay.
I think that would come out of general fund because the EOC is attached to the building. It's not necessarily just
Okay.
fire department.
And then the dump and the jet ski, that comes out of the accommodations tax, right?
Yeah.
everything-
So you said yes to the dump trailer and yes to the
Yes.
jet ski. Those are both accommodations tax.
And if I may, could I get y'all
Excavator.
to consider the key fob system for town hall?
The key fobs throughout the building. So our codes that we have for the doors, they we're having issues with some of them. And then every time we have staff changeover, we have to pay somebody to come out and recode every single door. And so for 2 doors, it's like $180 just for the 2 doors. Every single time we have to do it. And so it does cost more money over time. Plus, the other thing that we had talked about was with COVID, we're not all touching the buttons if we get a key fob, where every time you come through, we're gonna have to sanitize. I mean, that's minimal, but it's just another reason to potentially consider it.
That's at $16,000.
It's around 16,000. We had gotten 3 quotes, and they all came in roughly around the same amount.
And that'll fit into your process that you're talking about of developing a one-way flow through of the building
Yes,
so we can get back into business?
yep.
The one good thing about that too is that we received a grant from the county for $58,000 in September. We just got that. And part of what added to our fund balance was $54,000 grant from the county that was from CARES Act funds. It's not direct CARES Act funds to us, so there's no reporting requirements or anything to it. They're just saying, we're giving you this grant to help you get compliant for all of these COVID issues. And so that is one thing that is helpful for that.
So traffic control and people access.
Yeah.
That's on your spreadsheet here?
Well, the 54,000 is in there from last year, but the 58,000 just came in this fiscal year. That's last fiscal year.
Did we miss anything?
So,
It's a lot.
So I can have it?
yes.
Thank you.
You know, these are all things that we need. I can see the Beacon next week saying we're spendthrifts. As far as I can see, the tax rate is going to stay the same. I just ask everybody to remember that when you look at your tax bill, only 26%.
Yeah, it's 16 cents versus 48.5 cents.
Okay. Only 26% comes to the town. The town is growing. We can't stop that. let's be prepared for this growth. Let's get some more commercial in here and to bring in more revenue. Let's hopefully find a couple restaurants, couple more, and let these new people come here instead of going to Shalot or Calabash. Not that there's anything wrong with Shalot and Calabash, but we have to look after ourselves.
So I'll get a budget amendment together and I'll bring that back and everybody will start getting exact numbers, and that's pretty much it for that one, I think.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Good.
Anybody else got any questions for Tara?
Nope.
I'm next.
Yep. Moving on, Ms. Tara. One
Mayor,
more?
Mayor, if you don't have anything else
Yes,
for
the
anybody
staff can
but
go
the
if
police
they're-
chief, you'll release
Big
them,
go
please.
too. I'm here. We good. Thank y'all. We appreciate y'all.
everybody.
Appreciate everything y'all do for our town.
Thank you.
Okay, now,
Okay.
Ms. Tara, let you move on with accommodation tax management service.
Yes. So I have been going over this for about a year and a half. I've come up with 2 presentations and proposals, and they vary. Both of them have positive references of people that I called. Nobody's exactly like us for the references, but they're happy. But they're both companies the references are happy with their services. As of our local gov, and the service that they're proposing they're very similar to each other. They just have different ways that they do it. Like they're gonna look a little different in each proposal of what it looks like as a whole. So it's just a way to manage who in the town is paying what they're supposed to be paying, because VRBO and Airbnb, I can't manage that. It would take me the 40 hours every week to watch what everybody's doing. But they have specific software that can go through and see who's actually renting, and they can request they can give me an estimated number they said within a small percentage of what it should be. So we can kind of compare and make sure it's not way off for Airbnb and VRBO. So local gov, Azavar, is saying that they will do this service for us for $2,950 per year. And they're doing audit fee for $1,050 per 10 units. And host compliance, we don't need the mobile-enabled, web-based registration, all of that. That's basically where they all pay online and they manage their own on there. We don't need that. So for them, it would be around $19,000. The reason that, as of our local gov, is so much cheaper is they want to get into North Carolina. They want into our market here, and they are promising that it will be that price for roughly 3 years. Host compliance is already in North Carolina. I talked to Blowing Rock, I talked to Wilmington, New Hanover County uses them. There's some northern beach counties that use them. They do seem more user-friendly to me. I understand what they're doing a little bit better. They take snapshots and send them to me, showing these units at this address or renting at this time. So it is a little bit more user-friendly, but I do believe that the other one is a good service too. So my only fear with the lower amount is that in 3 years, they're gonna jump it. They're saying that they probably won't do that, but for $2,900, I can't send a mailing out to the entire town for $3,000. That's my only concern, but we can do it with them for 3 years at that set price and then change if we need to. The information is our information.
What's the total cost difference between the two?
I'm sorry,
Total cost difference between the two of what,
about
Each one what?
$16,000 a year,
8,000?
16.
16.
Except that In the higher amount one, audits are included. So if we wanted to look back a year on a property that somebody has reported that they haven't paid, we can look back, and for 10 properties, for every 10 properties that we wanted to do that with, it would cost us $1,000. If that was something that council wanted to do for any property.
Well, isn't that part of the process of getting your money back?
They get the money for you. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is doing the audit is what builds the case that you could go back and
Right.
knock on the door and say, you owe us X number of money.
Right.
And so.
So they would require the property owner to, like, so say it's Airbnb, they at the end of the year get a statement that says that this is how much income you had this year. So they would legally request that document from them and match it to the records that we have for the town as what we got for accommodation tax. And so then you have that basis where you can go and say, you owe us this money, and then we try to collect it.
That's what constitutes a audit.
Correct.
You mentioned Airbnb, which is probably the biggest one, but I've seen ads on different websites and Facebook sites,
Yep.
even advertising, and this is cheaper because you're not paying the taxes.
So there's over 125 platforms that people use to rent their properties. Facebook is one of those because they have the marketplace now. And if somebody's saying, hey, it's your brother's friend, and there's no record of it out there, this isn't going to be able to pick up their personal email. I mean, that would be the only case scenario that it's not going to pick up. But if it's advertised on any website anywhere, these services are going to pick that up. And people, when on most of these, have a picture of some room inside the house or some area of the house. And so what this software does is take snapshots of these advertisements with the addresses on them and matches them to what is in the system for what has been paid. And that's kind of how they do that. So they can go on to the Facebook Marketplace and see this was rented out on this day or advertised for this day, or it's unavailable for this day. They also use one of the way that you get your ratings or your recommended property or whatever is through the comments. And so that's the other thing that they use in this is the comments. You can tell when somebody stayed at a property through the comments. And so they have software that scans all of these comments and puts them to dates to get when that property was rented. But I mean, if you think about it, if you do that over 372 properties in the town that are known as listed, that could generate a lot of people to have to pay.
Have they given any indication as to what a normal amount that they return to a city is of our size or anything like that? Just
There's
a rough...
not any that are like really close to us that they have given me, but even the one that is at a higher cost, they said that they've never had anybody that didn't make up the difference in what the cost was.
So you used the number 372.
What's that?
You used the number 372 listings?
Properties.
So that's what you think are the online rentals in Sunset Beach?
That's the estimate that they give me, that they gave me.
That they give you.
Does that,
I have around 300 on my spreadsheet. So, I mean, there's already 72 out there that I don't know about.
what
Probably
about
72 on my
the,
street you don't know about.
What's that?
Said 72 on my street you don't know about.
Right.
Yeah.
what about the rental condo units at Sea Trail or,
So those would be easy to audit. And, because they would have to turn over their records. And so, I mean, they're still subject to this same platform. So even if they're in C-Trail, there has to be a way that they're advertising that they're available. So, I mean, I can give them each property management company if they need to put that into their database as what they're scanning.
The only thing that it wouldn't pick up, or I don't see how it could pick up, is word of mouth.
That's what I'm saying. Like your brother's best friend, you send an email and they wanted to rent that property, it's not going to pick that up. Like,
But there's also return renters as well. So if someone's been renting the same place year after year after year,
well, that's an audit would pick up that.
how would it pick up? if
Because they have to report what income they had. So if they're tax evading with Department of Revenue, that's on a whole different level.
Oh,
Because so it would go
they
by their
would-
income.
So they compare what the state gets?
They would have to give us a report of what they're paying for income tax on that property.
Okay.
Through
what's
through the lawyers, I don't know exactly what basis they have that on, but each of these companies have their own team of lawyers.
I see 3 reasons why this is a good idea. Number one, it should increase our revenues. We've got rental companies on the island. They have brick and mortar buildings, cost a lot more to maintain that. And most of that money is staying here. It provides employment. I mean, when my rental company rents my house, they collect those taxes and then they turn them over to the town.
Right.
And it gives these people an unfair advantage over our rental companies that are our home companies here. So
Right.
I think it's a good idea.
The other thing I will tell you is that the host compliance, the one that's more expensive, there's a 6-month money back guarantee. So if we do that one and it turns out that it's absolutely not what we want, in the next 6 months I can say take it back and they'll give us a complete 100% refund. I forgot to mention that.
Both of these talk about things like registrations and do we have to change our ordinances to put these in effect? Do we have to register all the properties in such a way that gives them sort of a database to work from?
That, I think the only reason that we would have to change the ordinance is if you wanted to restrict who could be a rental property. Like Wilmington restricts who can rent.
Yeah.
And they also manage that. So if that was ever something that Sunset Beach wanted to do, the host compliance, they actually have a team that develops that ordinance for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole different level. That's planning and zoning and, Wilmington's is very complex.
So what additional workload do we as the town have to provide data and information to these companies for them to start?
So it won't be too bad because I do have a spreadsheet that has approximately 300 properties. And so that actually can be uploaded so they'll develop a specific site for us. And then we upload the spreadsheet with the data and it'll capture it and create a registration for everybody that we already have. Because everybody already is supposed to register. Like we have the accommodation tax book that they have to write the property name down, their mailing address, what their gross income was for that month, what the accommodation tax is. I have a slip of paper every single month. I'm supposed to have one from every single property.
Okay.
Where this got a little bit crazy was when VRBO changed everything and there were so many people on VRBO. I can't figure out who's supposed to be sending what.
And you said local government / host in their 19,000 would include audits. It would seem to me that the audits, particularly for the first couple of years when we start up, is a key thing that's going to happen because you find somebody who we think is not paying the bills, the next step is you have to do an audit. And if they're talking about 370 properties, you know.
So yeah, it just depends on if
conceivably,
you,
there could be, you know, $37,000 worth of short-term audits that need to be done just to put the touch on everybody at the beginning. Yeah, so my sense would be the local government host, which includes the audits, would be,
well, there's, as of our local gov, that was the $3,000 one, or $2,900.
Yeah.
And then there's host compliance. You're talking about the host
I'm
compliance.
talking about the $19,000
Yeah,
one.
that's, yeah, host compliance. Because we don't, I mean, we can do the mobile enabled web-based, and I know that people have gotten used to paying everything online now. That's even here. Like, it was unbelievable how many payments we got electronically for recycling. I wasn't expecting that. So, I mean, that, and we don't have to do that up front. It's something that we can also add if we wanted to add it. There's a bunch of different modules for this, so you can just pick and choose what you want. These were the two, the 13,000 and the 5,000 were the address identification and then the monitoring. Those were the two essential ones. And then he had also given me the quote for if we wanted it to be where people could just go on their phone and put in their tax gross amount and pay it right there on their phone. So, I mean, that's just another option.
So I like the idea of the host compliance because they have a track record locally within the state. I also like the 6-month cancellation policy. And I do think we should go with one of these two for the potential revenue stream that we're losing out on.
I agree with Councilman Phillips.
And the cost for this will come out of the accommodation tax as well, because it's
Do they want you
100%
paying-
accommodation tax.
Do they want you paying upfront, or
Yeah, yep, you
pay-
pay up front, but then after, if, within that 6-month period, if I am like, this is not work, this is not what I thought it was, we get 100% full refund. So,
Councilwoman Harris, you have any questions on this?
No, I don't.
Mr. Nair, you good?
I'm done, I'm ready.
one other question?
Yeah.
So would we start this next year? Peak season, or if you start it now, I mean, the rental
we're not gonna know.
is heading downward.
Right.
First-
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say first of the year, but our budget isn't calendar year.
Right. Well, I mean,
Starts
I
about
could,
May.
I could talk to them and just see if they'll like see what I can work out. And I mean,
Get a full year
because
for
it's
the
so
refund.
slow, and ask them if that 6-month, like if they want to develop it during the next whatever time, and then our 6-month start whenever we actually start it. I mean, he may be okay with that.
Wouldn't we, even if we started now, wouldn't we be able to compare year over year to last year?
Yeah.
So, and frankly, I don't think anybody's gone home yet. I think everybody, after Labor Day, I don't think anybody's left.
Well, actually, some have. There are empty houses on the island now. Not many, but some. Yeah, I would say try to say, yeah, you're interested in doing that, then, but given the slow part of the year and getting it started up and everything else like that.
Yeah.
give
I mean,
us-
even if we
give
do
us
start
1
it
year
in
for the money
January,
back.
March, April, and May,
Yeah.
March, April, and May are pretty busy. I mean,
If you could push
normally.
If you could push it to February, though, that pushes us up through July to have a,
Right.
we would have actually Memorial Day, Labor Day, that area, and
Yeah.
before Labor Day, but Memorial Day to 4th of July.
Yeah.
That would give you the whole.
I mean, I'm
deal.
pretty sure that they're gonna do whatever to get business. So
Yeah,
if I say
well-
we want to start in February,
Or if it's starting now, give us a full year for the refund.
right?
That would, that,
They-
because we want to get it through the full season.
Right.
Yeah. As well as.
So
the
do they collect the taxes, or they just?
No, we still collect them. So basically, if somebody wants to send in a check to us, Katie would take the check and enter it into that platform. And so, there's still data entry on our side. It's more of trying to identify who's out there. And because it is very simple for us to just type it in, put it into the system, because we're still gonna have to put it into our software too.
So for something like an Airbnb and a VRBO,
So,
they would compare the expected amount to what you actually get?
right.
Okay.
And they have an algorithm that goes through and scans all the possible places that are trying to come in and get the money. And
And then it kind of gives me a breakdown of Airbnb should be this much, VRBO should be this much, you should be receiving this money from this website. And so it gives me something to compare to see if they're actually sending what they're supposed to be sending.
Sounds right.
I think the money back guarantee
Yeah.
gives us, is a good enticement to try it out.
Right.
With that being said, do we want to put in a motion to go with this company, the host company? Or you want more discussion on this before we go in this angle, or let her reach out to them and find out about those dates?
I mean, no matter
Okay.
what, we can start it in February if we need to start it in February. I mean, they're not going to say, no, we don't want you. I've been talking to these companies for over a year.
Well, they
so-
must be used to it. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so
I mean, they may try to tell me, you know, it'd be fine if you start now, but.
we're
if-
not unique,
Right.
certainly. I
Yeah.
mean, the rental season starts when the weather gets nice.
Right. Yeah.
So that being said, does someone want to make a motion that we'll be going with the host compliance group in regards to this accommodation tax management service?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
Oh, I still have one more thing.
go ahead, ma'am.
Well, for the budget amendment,
Okay,
for the fire department, it's the down payment on the truck. I just need a motion to pass the budget amendment for the fire
that's the sheet
department.
that you handed me when we come in, the other sheet
Yeah.
on that. Everyone got
It was
a copy of
already
that?
agreed upon,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
down payment. I just finally got the amount
Yeah.
or the invoice.
I move we approve the budget amendment for the fire truck.
Second.
Do I have, all in favor? Any discussion over the fire truck? The down payment's done?
Nope.
No discussion, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Ms. Chance got that.
Okay.
Tara, that's it. I think you can go home and go to sleep now, so you can come back in the morning. All right,
There it is.
moving next. The assessment preliminary resolution public hearing draft agenda. This is what y'all have come up with for this. It was in there. As everybody, I know everybody's took a chance to look over it. If y'all have any questions or comments on what you have come up with?
This is what I'll be sending out to the affected property owners,
Yes, ma'am.
this draft with the resolution and their notice.
Has everyone read it and looked through it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Is everything in there? What y'all looking for? Good to go with it?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
When we, for the hearing itself, can we set it up that first property owners who are attending can make comments? Because the assessment is looking at the 334 property owners. And then after the property owners make their comments, we go into other citizens who have other comments. Can we do that, or is it just who's first in line?
You can do that, but I don't know how you're gonna verify on the fly.
Mr. Mayor, I object to that.
Okay.
I don't know how you're gonna verify if that person stands up and says, you know, I'm Jane Doe from
We say,
this
I'm
property.
Jane Doe so-and-so, and we have a list of the affected property owners. You send mailings out to them on a regular basis. So we can look at that list. I'm John Corbett, 1313 Canal, as a property owner. And you take a quick look down, I don't know whether it's alphabetically or by street, but
I have it by street.
by street, and then you say, okay, well, I don't know.
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
When someone gets up to speak, they usually give their name and address. I think at this, a person should give their name, address, and identify whether they are or are not an affected property owner. But even if they are not an affected property owner, they're still a citizen or a member of the public, and they deserve a right to speak.
I didn't say they didn't have a right to speak. I was just saying get the affected property owners first. And then go into the other ones.
Yeah, it wasn't asking that they did not get to speak. It was just asking, did you want to allow the property owner?
I understand, but I'm not comfortable with that either. I mean, if a person makes the trouble to come to this meeting in a COVID cluster, they need to be honored just as much as anybody else.
Well, what if an affected property owner makes a trip here from out of town, and they don't get a chance to speak?
Well, why would they not get a chance to speak?
We're limited to an hour and a half, right?
Yeah, we can extend that.
Well, we could have spent.
That's what I thought.
I mean,
anybody that comes, are you gonna put some kind of registry in for them to sign in on or anything? At least to sort of keep things flowing in the right direction, or
That's what I was going to suggest.
Yes.
If
just have basically a sign-in
a
sheet?
couple of us could get there an hour and a half early, and people could start signing up,
So we signing up to speak or sign up to attend?
signing up to speak.
But there's also the write-ins too.
Correct.
But that
We already
sign-
said that the write-ins would be read at the end of the meeting. It's what we have written down in here.
Is it?
Why,
Emails,
why
will-
would we allow that when we've never done that before?
what, read the emails at the end of the meeting?
Right,
Those are,
especially on a
those,
preliminary
those,
assessment hearing. We've
those-
never done that before.
those
Why
are
are we
for
doing it
the,
now?
those are for the affected property owners, whether they're resident or non-resident, so that they have a chance to get their input in.
We've
The
never
assess-
done
the
that.
assessment
We've
is-
never done that before on a preliminary assessment hearing. This is a new
Have we had a
wrinkle.
preliminary
Why
assessment?
are we doing it?
Have we had a preliminary assessment hearing on dredging before?
No, but we have it on streets. We have it on every time there is a tax assessment district put in. We've never done this. Why are we doing it now?
So that we give the affected property owners who are not full-time residents, who are a good
We've
portion.
had
Let me
dredging projects
finish,
before,
Jan.
yes.
Jan, let me finish speaking. Because we have a lot of affected property owners who are not full-time residents here. In fact, a large percentage of the affected property owners are not full-time residents, and they should have a chance to voice their opinion.
How many people will that building hold at 6 foot distance?
I don't have any idea, but we're saying a lot.
Well, and the idea too would
We
be
also could line them up around the building.
and cycle through like an ATM, like a bank does.
Yeah.
I believe that's the
That would
plan.
all go back to a sign-in sheet to help keep things going in the right direction.
Could.
Plus the sign-in, if they put their address on there, that's gonna give us another notification of who actually has come to say what they're gonna say. To match up to your minutes or whatever, that'll just help you all the way around, correct?
Correct.
I would like to make one other comment.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
This project has the potential to bring cost not just to those affected property owners in the future, but to this whole town. And everybody in this town knows that, and they deserve a right to be heard too.
Nobody
Well, you
said
know
they
what?
did not have a right to be heard.
I don't know where you come with everybody's going to pay. The part that the town is going to pay with tax dollars is by Mary's Creek, by the park. If I thought every taxpayer was going to pay part of the affected property owners, I would have objected to this from the beginning. That you have to keep saying, you keep telling people, oh, it's going to cost you, you're going to end up paying for taking care of someone's property.
So I see where it says that we'll read it at the end of the meeting. Yeah, okay.
So we're going to have people sign up to speak, and it doesn't matter whether they're a property owner or not in terms of the sequence of the speaking, affected property owner or not. I mean, I just want to
That's correct.
I just want to be clear. Is everybody comfortable with that or not?
Well, what I'm comfortable with is giving the people that are going to pay first shot. And when they're done, anybody else who wants to speak. We said an hour and a half. I'll stay 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it takes to hear everybody. But I want to make sure the people that are paying get a chance to have their say.
That's important where that sign-in sheet comes in, because that way, if they're on there, we're going to know right sort of when we get to going what kind of time limits and stuff like that, which I know we've got the time limits down, but other than that, that will give us a little bit of heads up. Whereas we just said who's next, it may take a lot of time in between there. Does it even need to go to where you give them a number? You think it needs to do that so they'll know, because they're going to be going in all different directions?
No.
Or we're not going to keep them to, we're not going to keep them to a thing. We're just going to say, all right, here's the line. This is where people will be lined up or whatever to come in. As one leaves, another one. If I'm not mistaken, you said they'll go out on the other side, so to try to keep everything
Right.
going in the right direction, so nobody
Right.
crisscross. Okay.
And we'll have them zigzagged.
Okay. So you'll
6
basically
feet
have a
apart.
zigzag. Okay.
Are we going to have chairs in there, or just all?
We have the capability for about 50 chairs down there.
And the rest of it would be stand up.
Is that 6 foot distance?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. That's
ma'am.
what they're talking about. They can put 50 chairs in there at 6 foot distance.
Okay.
The
thanks.
fire department has assured me that they'll.
Yeah, the fire
They'll
department has
have it
pulled it
all.
out and went through that. So that's basically right around 50 is the number that will be able to be seated at any given time. And the zigzag lines that they're talking about setting up would be 6 foot too, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So we will start signing up at 8:30. You think? 10 o'clock. We'll say 8:30.
8:30 will be
We'll
a sign-up
start.
sheet.
We'll start with people being able to sign up, and we'll cut off at 9:45. So that'll give us time to give you the
Everything
sheet and for
organized,
you to
yeah.
figure out if we're going to have enough time at the 11:30, and if not, when you open the meeting, we can extend it to whatever
Push our
time.
Yeah.
And all of this will be publicized beyond the mailing to the affected property owners.
Correct. I have to put it in the paper.
Yeah. All that needs to go out so they'll know
Requirement.
the deadlines for signing in.
And
That'll virtually give us, when we start the meeting, basically a number of what we're looking at to reading. And of course, you'll have all the mail-ins. You'll have them at the beginning, so we'll know that too.
Correct.
Good. Anyone else got any questions? Comments?
Not from me.
Mr. Borman? Nope. Mr. Nairn?
No.
Ms. Harris?
so we're not going to say affected property owners first. We're just going to let everybody come in, sign up and speak. Anybody who signs up will be able to speak.
I mean, that's up to y'all. Y'all need to vote on that if I'm ever.
That's,
I
just wanted
Yeah.
to be clear.
Yeah, that's what I say. It needs to be clear on it, but we definitely know for sure that sign-in is gonna be at 8:30, 9:45 is the cutoff. If you don't sign in, you don't get to talk, basically. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
You okay with that, Jan?
I'm okay with that.
And I do have
Go
one
ahead.
thing. We are having an issue finding a PA system. So if any of y'all know somebody who owns a PA system and would like to show up and run it,
I know where there's one that we can, for our functions out at the Veterans Memorial, we rent a PA system, and a guy comes and sets it up and operates it for about $150.
okay, will you send me that contact information, please?
Yeah. And it works pretty good.
Good.
All right, so you've got all the direction you need to go from that?
Do we have to vote or anything? No, okay.
All right, moving on, the COVID-19 state of emergency discussion. And
If I could start with
go ahead,
this.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
At some point along this last 6-9 months, wherever we are now, you all mandated for the bathrooms to be put back on the island and opened in the park and on the island, and for them to be cleaned twice a day, 7 days a week. That is still occurring, in addition to town hall also being cleaned 7 days a week. The cleaner and Dustin are saying that the use of those two systems has reduced a lot during the week, and are recommending cutting back to 1 cleaning a day, and then on the weekends, staying with the 2 days. Still cleaning 7 days, but only, so the bathroom will be cleaned first thing in the morning, it'll be opened. The police close them all at night, and when she'll be back in the morning to clean them again before they are opened again.
It'll just knock out that afternoon cleaning.
Right.
Which is definitely, right now, probably during the week, we're not using that much anyway, so. The weekends, it'll still be twice?
Still be twice.
Yes.
Yes. Are we still gonna leave both bathrooms open out on the island, you think? Having both of them
Yes.
still open, or do we
Yeah.
need to go ahead and start pulling to start doing cleaning?
Dustin, he hadn't said anything about pulling either one of them off at this point.
I know, but we do that, don't we? Because we
Yeah,
pull one
we-
out and
mhm.
clean, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you, relatively, it'd probably be the one at the
it's-
road first, is usually the one we'd be pulling. Is that correct?
It's whichever one needs the most maintenance when he gets to that point.
Yeah. And he usually tells us when it's time to do
Correct.
that. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we'll go back to 1 time during the week and twice on weekends.
Other than that, on the governor, he really didn't change much, other than bars, which we don't have them in town, so, other than restaurants, but nothing bar. So that won't affect us anywhere. We don't have any concerts going on, so that doesn't affect us there.
I was remiss and I didn't bring it with me. I'm looking to see if I can find it now. But I thought he had said something about outdoor venues.
100
that are
people, small
amphitheaters.
venues, yeah.
Could be up to 100.
That could be something we could move to 100, yeah, because is that not correct? Small venues,
We
That's the third
didn't
one
hear
that he's
the
got.
100. We heard him keep us at 50.
He was saying small venues was like,
like at a bar where they had an outside event.
or something, yeah,
Yeah,
not
okay.
like, I'm sorry. Not like at the park or anything like that, because there's no way to keep it, you
At
know,
100, because other people.
with
can come
100
in.
people and keep social distancing and all that.
So it's more of like an outdoor amphitheater. maybe,
Yes.
Or something like
That's
that.
what I think when it went back to the deal about the bars being able to open, because they're
Right.
outside venues or something, I think that's what.
What
it is.
about, so thinking about things like that, if somebody were to trying to do something like a concert, do we have a venue, a way for them to do a concert on a beach or anything like that? Because we know there were hundreds of people on the beach all summer long.
But it wasn't a mass gathering. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people, but it wasn't an organized gathering.
I hear what you're saying.
I mean, that comes in. And the mass gatherings will remain at 25 people indoors and 50
50
people
people,
outdoors
right.
is still there.
Yes.
So
So that-
basically, we just need to keep everything like it is then.
Yeah.
And the problem with having events at the park is you don't know if the person is coming to the event or if they're just coming to the park. And we can't close the park because of the event. So it's a lose-lose situation with trying to have anything in the park at this point.
So with Veterans Day coming up,
Now, the town is exempt from, governmental operations are exempt, and we are a part of putting on that event.
The town is, co-hosting of the event, so. In the last year's Veterans Day, the estimate was somewhere around 300, 400 people showed up, sat in and around the memorial, a portion of them in chairs. We put out about 80 chairs, plus the speaker's set of chairs, and then the others spread out all the way around. So under that interpretation of a government co-hosted event, we could do that if we put in control procedures to keep them out there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to comply with all the social distancing and the mask, and we can certainly, make it so that there's enough police officers to enforce the mask, and we could put X's on the ground for the social distancing.
So it's conceivable to do a Veterans Day ceremony this year?
It is. I would just recommend that you do it real short and sweet and to the point.
Yeah.
And so that you could limit the amount of chairs that you would have to put out. I would make it, the chairs are for the disabled more so than for anybody who walks in and wants to sit.
All right. Thank you.
So we'll just basically stay with what's on record then.
What about the town hall?
Carrie and Dustin and I are working on what we're going to have to do to be able to open town hall. We are still in the process of getting quotes. The CARES Act funds that Brunswick County got that they have given us as a grant can be used for all of these. The renovations are very small. The biggest thing is the doors. To get the handicap push pads and the doors retrofitted so they will automatically open. We're looking at thermal temperature stations that'll be stationed in the foyer that you just slide your wrist, and if you've got a fever, the alarm goes off. The alarm won't cut off until somebody goes out there and resets it, and that's a signal to all of us that somebody's standing in a foyer that has a temperature.
Yeah.
And they won't be allowed in town hall. We are also getting quotes for hand sanitizer stations. We're looking at electric ones, which, just put your hand under the thing and it comes out. And we're also looking at foot pump type stands. And what our thought process is right now is that the police department town hall doors will become the main entrance into town hall. There'll be a doorway cut through that hallway to this one. And the building inspection department doors will become an exit-only door. So everybody will come in one way and go out one way, and it'll make it past COVID, when council meetings can go back to normal and people can come, they'll be able to park in the front and park in the new parking lot on the side of us and in the back, and be able to access the building from all ways. We're looking at probably less than 20,000 to do every bit of it. And that's buying the stations, the sanitizer stations, the couple of little renovations, and having all the doors retrofitted.
So that CARES Act money will more than take care of that.
So that's the long or the short to say that we're going to keep town hall closed until we're able to make this one way and to get these. We'll have to bring you the thermal temperature stations are $2,500 a piece, and we think we need 6 of those. So that alone is about $15,000, $12,000. I'm not in finance. Math is not my strong suit. And then the doors are about 7. So that's what we're looking at.
Okay.
So as soon as we have all that packaged, we'll bring it to you for a budget amendment.
Okay.
Why do we need 6 thermal?
Because of the entrance door here, and then here, at the end of the hall, at the police department's door. Where am I missing? Oh, outside, no, in the foyer. Maybe it's only 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and police is 6.
6. There you go.
I thought your email said you were trying to get everybody to come in through the, what I call the police door. So people wouldn't be getting in here,
Do you mean the public
right?
as coming in? Yeah, and that's, but when we're having council meetings, this door would be open, the planning inspection door would be open. And
I
then
got you.
the employees, the police department comes in that back door. 99% of all of us come in the building inspection's back door. So there's just a lot of doors.
Temperature gauge ain't just for the consumers, it's for the workers too.
Exactly.
For everybody.
It's for everybody who
Just
enters
try to
this
control
building.
and keep this environment safe.
Right. And the reason I'm not recommending for the fire department or the police department, the public works department, is because those facilities really aren't open to the public anyway. Definitely not public works. So the handheld thermometers that we got for everybody, for all the department heads, they can still check their employees that way. But for the fire department, they would be by appointment only when they're open back up to the public. And then they would be able to use the little handheld thermometer for that person or people that were coming to the fire department as well. So that's why they're not included in that aspect of it. They will be included for the sanitizing stations and, yeah, that's it, the sanitation stations.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, that ends all that. All right, new business, the only thing we have is the disposition of directives. One will be put on there, will be for, I guess, Tara to bring that information back in the form of a budget amendment. So that would
Correct.
be something that would be on there for the future.
And, well, if you could do it for the October 20th meeting, I
Okay.
mean, if you've already basically
You think
agreed to
she'll
it
have
all.
plenty of time to get it done? Go ahead, ma'am.
I can't do the parking if we do that. If it's anything like tonight.
As that would require one motion to approve a budget amendment.
It would just be the one motion. Everything's already set into place on that.
The same way we did at the fire truck.
She would have it printed out and all we would do is rereading it in. Like the fire truck deal.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be another discussion because everything's pretty much discussed, correct? Unless there was something major come up in her paperwork.
Okay.
And then we have the parking is on there for 10/20, correct, Ms. Jen? And you're on
Yes.
schedule to have that lined up, okay?
Now, are you going to come in person?
Yes, I am. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I would like to have plexiglass installed between each of the council members' seats.
I don't have any idea if I can have that done by the 20th.
Can we make it possible to social distance?
Yeah, we're all split over 6 foot apart now. And even with you coming in.
Yeah, but
we'll
I'm
put you-
not there.
But
We'll
you-
put you on another, there's only 4 spots at the desk, and then Mr. Borman is out to the left. And I guess you'll either be
That-
out to the right or either back there, like where the door's
Back where
at.
Tara was.
Yeah, we
Put
would
her
put you
right
right there
there.
where Miss Tara sits. Everybody in here, all the staff has to sit 6 foot apart.
Okay.
So, yeah, we will have that covered, that's a definite.
But eventually I would like plexiglass put between the council seats.
Okay, I'll get Dustin to,
She'll go ahead and get
a
Dustin to start looking
draft,
into
I
that,
mean-
ma'am.
Huh?
Thank
Just
you.
said she wouldn't be able to do it by then, okay. All right, as far as this stuff, the planning board, ETJ, the planning board review of high density and the information about developing, we will not have Todd in there on that, because if I'm not mistaken, he'll be leaving on the 15th, so.
Correct.
We would still be looking for something else, correct?
Yeah.
I am in the process of contacting the Cape Fear Council of Governments,
Yes, ma'am.
who helps us in these situations.
Okay.
I just need to get their availability. We may have to bring the planning board back to one meeting a month, depending on their,
Yeah.
but they would be that liaison person and
But
would
once
help
we get-
drive
Yeah,
those.
once we get that, then we could look at this on down the road, putting it
Right.
back on there. So right now, all three of those are basically on hold, correct?
No,
Two,
the
three, and four.
planning board's working.
Okay,
they're
but
working
I'm talking
on it.
about where Mr. Rodemacher was gonna bring all this to us. He will not be here to bring it to us.
Right, yeah, I'll change that
You'll
name.
get everything took care of, okay.
We'll change the name.
And then we'll decide later on down when we're gonna put that on the agenda, correct?
Correct.
So it's all just floating. All right, the consideration of the Economical Development and Marketing Director. Has anybody got a pinpoint date on that, or is that something we're still just floating along right now?
Just wait for me to get you the information that the gentleman is gonna provide me.
Yes, ma'am.
And then just be thinking in the meantime about the offer of, or the thought of a part-time person for that position. Because then that would be no benefits.
Yeah.
That would just be the cost of,
Okay.
of whatever
They
they
decide to
wanted.
come up with, yeah.
What I would be interested in hearing is specifically the job description of this person, what they would be doing. Both of those packages that you put were for communities, counties, bodies, much bigger and larger and more extensive than us, both in area and in population.
Right.
And, you know, we would have sort of a smaller area that we have to sell and probably a much smaller targeted type of audience that we're trying to recruit to come into town.
Right. That information that I provided you was just for you to have a broad overview of what an economic developer does. And then they can be, you may be able to tie a planner in with that position. It would just depend on the degree the person had, and their interest in doing both. So that's a possibility as well.
Anything else need to be added to it? I see that the other one is the Special Assessments Resolution Public Hearing, which is we've already got that one stated. So other than that, is anything else need to be put on this disposition of directives?
I don't have anything.
Nobody has anything? Ms. Harris, you have anything else?
No.
Okay. All right, moving on, we got public comments. Is there still somebody back here?
Just a reminder that I'm not going to be here for the 20th. I will not be here.
Okay. Nobody in there? All right, any more questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.